Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Entrepreneurship Matters. My name is Alicia Wilson. I'm Vice President for Economic Development for Johns Hopkins University and Johns Hopkins Health System. And it is my pleasure to introduce you to two amazing entrepreneurs this week. Let me get us started by introducing the show. We have been at this for 52 weeks, telling the inspiring stories of entrepreneurs through their own voices. We started this at the urging of a young entrepreneur, Camry Moses, who's now a freshman at Spelman College. KRS Smoothie is her business. And we have been able to see that entrepreneurs, great businesses are not built in a day. It takes a lot of hard work, long-term commitment, a lot of multiple failures to make it happen. And we're going to meet two amazing entrepreneurs who I invite onto the screen now. I'm going to give you their bios. They are impressive women in the jewelry business. Let me introduce you right now to Ashley Mobley. Oh, look at that. Y'all are beautiful. If I don't say it again throughout this, beautiful, beautiful. Ashley Mobley, AshMo Jewelry and Accessories. Ashley is a mompreneur and owner of AshMo Jewelry and Accessories, a custom handmade jewelry and accessory company here in the DMV. Her love for designing clothing, jewelry, and accessories began at a young age. A lot of the gems that she has, that you're gonna see, I hope we get to see some of your jewelry showed off today, was passed down from her grandmother, who was a Jane of all trades. Her biggest inspiration for her business have been culture, nature, and her love for art and inspiring others. Her love for encouraging and inspiring others has developed into a teaching a variety of creative and inspirational design workshops. We're going to give you information on how to get that. And her most beloved workshop is her affirmation bracelet design class. To her, jewelry is wearable art that simply highlights the beauty and uniqueness of its wearers. Ashley passionately designs pieces that are sure to stand out while accentuating its wearers' inner boldness while inspiring them to also love what's beautifully unique about themselves. It is a pleasure. Ashley's a dear friend, so I'm so excited to interview here today. And Namia Vance, Waist Beads by Rain. This is wonderful. She is a native New Yorker, but we are proud to have her here. She is the owner of Waist Beads by Rain and founder of Suitable Attire, Inc. She also has a number of other things. I'm not even going to call them side hustles because you are just a hustler in every regard. She is a youth advocate, a resume writer, a notary, a visual merchandiser, and clothing reseller. What started out as a hobby to provide her daughter with beach accessories, wow, turned into a small business out of her Baltimore City home. Waist Beads by Rain are handmade with love and patience, beautifully designed and crafted using various glass and plastic seed beads. Her goal is to empower women to, listen to this, to embrace and love their bodies, particularly our love handles, our stretch marks, birthing scars, etc. Like Waist Beads by Rain's model says, real women, real bodies. She also has a nonprofit, Suitable Attire, created to provide youth with professional attire for job and career opportunities, promoting positive self-image, etiquette, decorum, and mentorship. She has a love for youth that came out of her upbringing in the South Bronx, and we're glad that she is a part of our Baltimore community. Her favorite quote is, "It's not how you start, it's how you finish." That is true. And so it is my pleasure to have these two amazing women. You're going to realize when I interview them why I say that. I've been a big admirer of both of them. But let's get started into this conversation and talk about inspiration. So what inspired both of you to be entrepreneurs? I'm gonna start with you, Namia, and then go to Ashley.
Good afternoon, everyone. And Alicia, thank you. Thank you for having us, and thank you for having me. And your energy is infectious. It's calming my anxiety. So thank you. So I've always had kind of like a side hustle. I've always been doing like, you know, in addition to a full-time job, I've always had like another stream of income just out of necessity. Waist Beads by Rain came about. One of my clerks that used to work for me. I was an HR manager. One of my clerks, she was a young lady, and she started making waist beads. And then like probably 2 weeks later, she was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So she gave me all of her materials. This is like in 2005.
Wow.
And then so I started just making waist beads as a hobby. For my daughter, she was going into Morgan, and her and her friends were, spring break and all that stuff. So I just started making beads for her and her friends. And then when I moved to Baltimore in 2018, I found myself being bored. I was like, let me pull out my beads and start making beads. Then I took them to work and people wanted to buy them. And I was like, oh, okay. And it kind of just started as a hobby that turned into a business. So yeah, that's how it started.
I think that's inspiration. I appreciate you sharing this journey that you've been on, because seeing how what someone else, they gave up, you gave in to starting something you're passionate about, and it's resulted in a business. I know that many people on here who are just like you, started out with a passion or a hobby and now created a business. How about you, Ashley? Ashley, and I need those glasses.
Yes.
I need those.
Like you said earlier, my grandmother was like a Jane of all trades, and my grandmother was the individual who raised me, and she was known for cooking, for sewing. I mean, a little bit of everything. And she was my best friend when she was here. So I just absorbed all those different creative things by just being around my grandmother, learning how to sew. And I remember vividly one of my fondest memories as a child, which made me go into creating one-of-a-kind jewelry, was my grandmother helped me make a whole dress. We made the matching purse. We made the little bow to go in the shoes, the whole setup. And I remember everyone stopping me and saying, oh, where did you get that from? And then they were like, did you make that? So I liked the fact of that feeling of having something that was special and unique. So when I first decided to start getting into jewelry making, it was when I was younger. One of my spiritual moms, she had a bead shop, and she took me under her wing, and she was just teaching me different styles of jewelry making. And there I found like I really had a gift for colors, and just was creative. It just branched on that creative upbringing that I already had. And as I started my jewelry, my journey as a jewelry designer, I really liked the feeling I made people feel when I made these one-of-a-kind pieces. Yeah. How they would be like, oh, I felt so beautiful. It made me feel so unique. And that inspired me to just keep going and designing.
Nice. It's interesting, both of you talk about how your art, and I'm going to call it art, the jewelry you make, makes people feel. And so I want to get us into a place of like helping people understand how both of you took a passion and created a business. So what were the steps you went through, Namia, to start your business? Okay, so now you start making beads. You're in your job. People say, I love what you're making. I want to buy it. What steps did you go through from changing what you were doing from a hobby into a business?
Well, the next step for me was research, because I've seen waist beads. I had waist beads, but I didn't know the culture of waist beads, and I didn't want to go into it blindly, especially when you're selling things to people. They want to know the history behind it. Yeah. So I did my research afterwards, and then I started researching and the history of waist beads, dating back for centuries, Africa, Indonesia, Middle Eastern countries. So I did my research, and I would encourage anyone that's starting a business, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but definitely do your research, because people like authenticity, and people want to know that what you're doing and what you're bringing forth is genuine. So, and people can tell a fluke, right? People can point you out if you're just kind of like winging it. So I would encourage anyone that's starting a business or that's going into something that they're not comfortable with or they don't know much about, is to do your research. So that from my research there, then I just started, creating more and interacting more with women. And it kind of shifted for me. It's kind of, okay, like this is a cool little hobby that turned into like a small business. But then me interacting with women, it kind of shifted me again, because when women put on your beads, they feel empowered. And this is a range of women from a size 0 to a size 50. And we are so self-body conscious, and we're so hard on ourselves and we're so hard on our bodies that I felt that I can change that in someone. I can turn that switch off, even in that little maybe 10 or 15 minute interaction when I'm out vending or I'm at the mall. And usually I'm successful, because we talk so bad about our bodies sometimes. And it's like, okay, no, you're beautiful. You look amazing. Your stretch marks is a sign that you've given birth, or you've endured something. And that's a beautiful thing. So
I love your spirit, and I love what you're talking about. I think you dropped a lot of gems. One, that cornerstone thought that you talked about of doing research,
right.
about the history of what you're doing, about the work that you're about to embark upon, just big nugget, and then interacting with your consumer.
Yes.
Right, understanding your consumer, spending time with your consumer. I think great nuggets for other entrepreneurs or those who are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs. How about you, Ashley? What did you do to go from your grandmother teaching you in many ways inheriting this love of art and of creation, but then turning it into a business? How did you do that?
I did it for many reasons. A part of it was family, a part of it was community. I took the leap into full entrepreneurship because I wanted to incorporate my gift also with my passion. So it's two aspects of my business. Like Namia was saying, a part of my business is my affirmation design workshops. I've always worked in a human service field, whether it be public health or also working with social organizations. So I know I wanted to create, but I also wanted to assist people in different ways. So that's what I created the affirmation design workshops. So for me, it was a matter of um, putting my work with also my passion, and that's what developed the affirmation design workshops for women and young girls, as well as just doing what I'm passionate about, making people feel good. Some of the things that I did when I started my business, I did a lot of research. I understood that community was just as important as the business aspect. So I looked for different organizations that were for moms, such as Moms as Entrepreneurs. I had the privilege to be a part of one of their cohorts, as well as just different organizations that were built around entrepreneurship, minority business, community. So those were some of the steps, and just the traditional steps. Figuring out a business plan so you can know what direction that you want to go, finding who is your targeted audience, applying for your business license, and all those different things, EIT numbers, tax IDs. So those were just some of the steps, was the beginning stages. But I always admonish people that when you want to start a business, like you said, Naima, do what you're passionate about. Anyone can start a business, but to make it flourish is doing what you are really truly passionate about, because then it doesn't become work. It becomes something that's joyous and it's infectious, and people can see how passionate you are about what you're doing. And they don't buy what you're offering.
Yes.
They buy who you are and the story behind who you are and what you're offering.
No, absolutely. And let me people have already started doing this, but please, you can text your questions in and your affirmations, because I'm going to make sure that Ashley and Namia get all of them in. You can text them to 22333, type JHUWL in the message, and I'll get to all of them. I want to lift up some of the things you say, because I know folks are taking notes. One, you centered your work around your passion, right? And then you took your work into workshops, right? So you were teaching others the craft that you did your research, you found a community. Shout out to mompreneurs, amazing, Tamara Lucas, Jasmine, all y'all folks who are doing amazing work. I'm glad you lifted them up. You then had your business plan, did your licensing, did all of your infrastructure for your business, and then launched. So I think just great nuggets for those who are thinking about entrepreneurship. Let me get this question, and it's come up. Someone on Facebook said this, but what inspired you to take the leap into entrepreneurship? And we always talk about this leap, right? So you go from hobby to saying, I'm going to actually do this as a vocation, as a business. What was the deciding moment for you, Namia, when you decided to go into entrepreneurship?
With the waist beads, for me, it was the connection with people. And I love doing it. So like Ashley just said, like if you're passionate, if it's something that you're passionate about, it's not work. So that's one part. And then the pandemic shifted, I think, everyone in a way to hone in their gifts, right? So I was like, okay, so now I'm home from work in March 29th, 2020. I'm home from work. I mean, I'm home. Everyone's home. And I can't vend, I can't go out, I can't interact with people. So I had to do e-commerce and started selling online, and everything that's the whole website I did by myself because I had the time to do it. So again, doing what you love to do. If you don't love to do it, then like Ashley said, it's gonna feel like work. And also just putting in the time, putting in the time to perfect whatever that is for you. And don't worry about what other people are doing. Don't worry about, I know 20 women that sell waist beads, and some of them, I don't make the waist beads that they make. So I'll refer them out to other women too. So also share, collaborate with other people, ask questions if you don't know which way to go. Collaboration is a huge deal for me, and I'm a sharer of information. I like to share information. A lot of entrepreneurs don't. And sometimes that can be a hindrance. For me, it's a blessing because when I share information, it comes back to me in a different kind of way. So I think I would encourage entrepreneurs, established and otherwise, to share your information, and don't be afraid to, oh, someone's going to steal my idea. And I've had that happen to me. But what's for me is for me, and what's for them is for them. And I have been successful, whereas people have tried to steal ideas and them not so much. So I don't worry about those things.
You're just dropping so many gems right now. I'll often say everybody sells hamburgers.
Right.
You still go to McDonald's.
Right.
You still go to Burger King, and then you'll step over to Wendy's. So there's enough room for everybody to compete and do well. And I think you just gave a lot of just context and values that you should have in your business. How about you, Ashley?
For me, what made me take the leap was the fact that I've always believed that all of us have a gift. It's something that makes us special and unique, that God gave us, that as an ability, a special ability that only we can do it the way that we do it because it's only one of us. Yeah. And before I became an official business, I did like vendor events. I did my workshops on a smaller scale, and I saw how it made other people feel, and it was like an interchange of encouragement and just support. And they made me realize, like, you really have a gift. You really have a gift. When people would travel from another state just to show me support and love, it really made me realize that I had something to offer other people. And it made me really be purposeful when I decided to do my gift, because I felt like I wanted to offer something to other people, whether it's making people feel beautiful or it's encouraging self-love and self-care through my workshops. I felt like a deeper need, especially the affirmation design workshops. I am truly passionate about that, maybe even more than just creating, because working in the human service field in my career, I see so many people who need encouragement, who need uplifting, who need a space where they feel comfortable to communicate and just have fun. So that really was one of the pieces of my business that I was like, it's a need for this. It's a need for women to come to a place where where it's therapeutic for them, where they don't even realize that they're being uplifted, encouraged, healing, and those different types of things.
Yeah, no, I think both of you just exemplify, and we're getting so many shout outs. Don't worry, I'm going to get to all of them. Keep putting them in the comments and in the chat. I'm going to get to all of them. And you talk about your affirmation workshop, and I have not been privileged to go to one, but everybody raves about them. And Namia, you have your business is far beyond just waist by your waist beads, it's also about suitable attire. So I'd like for both of you to talk about sort of the extension of your business beyond the product. Namia, can you talk a little bit about suitable attire? I want to give you a shout out for that. And Ashley, love to just have you dig a little deeper and tell us about the affirmation workshop.
Suitable attire was created to provide, and I created the organization in 2015, I think, 2014, 2015. I was an HR manager, and people used to come to interviews, job interviews, dressed all kind of ways,
Yeah.
unprofessional, and not appropriate. And from there, I thought, well, hey, if these are parents that are coming into interviews this way, male and female, what are they teaching their children? So from there, I created Suitable Attire. I founded Suitable Attire to provide youth with clothing and essentials needed for career development, work opportunities, even just day-to-day, going to the mall or even going to a amusement park, because sometimes we may see some youth outside and they're dressed not appropriately. So I create, and that's my passion, working with youth. I've worked with youth for over 25 years. Growing up in New York, that was like my first real job with the New York City Housing Authority and my neighborhood community center where I actually grew up. So I've always had a passion for youth. And then just fast forward, it's needed, it's necessary. It's kind of like that missing link. We have all of these workforce development and apprenticeship for kids, but we don't teach them how to necessarily be presentable. And that's in their dress, in their speech, and their behaviors. So I'm trying to fill that gap. And this year, the nonprofit is fully established, a 501c3. You can look me up on IRS. It's official. So, I'm starting to now do the groundwork. And every time I say I'm going to take a break from Waist Beads by Rain, here comes Ariel calling me with this opportunity, right? So that's my next venture, to merge the two. And hopefully I can get some young people that want to learn how to make waist beads or learn how to make jewelry with, bracelets or something like that, as a way to provide them with income as a hustle or a side hustle.
I love the organization. When I was 15, I got my first job. On my first day, they gave us business suits, 2 of them, 3 shirts and 2 suits for us to working in law firms, 15 years old. And if I hadn't had that suit, just like I looked like it made it a non-issue, right? It allowed me to get over. So I know just the value of what you're talking about. So just thank you for that work. How about you, Ashley? The affirmation workshop. Everybody's going to try to figure out how to sign up. I'm going to let you all know how to get in contact with her. So don't worry, I'm getting to that. But the affirmation workshops, can you tell us a little bit more about those?
Well, the affirmation workshops is something really personal to me. My grandmother used to always quote different scriptures to me. And after she had passed, which was around the time I was 16, it's something that stayed with me through the rest of high school, through college, through my careers. It's in my office written up. And one day it dawned on me that particular scripture had stayed with me my whole life, even to my adulthood, even now. And I realized how powerful words are. So I wanted to create a space where people could, like a form of art therapy. So my workshops is a form of art therapy. So it promotes self-love and self-care. And I wanted to create a space where people could be encouraged and uplifted without realizing like the taboo, like, yeah, this is a form of therapy, but you're also having fun doing so. So that developed into affirmation workshops. I wanted to create events that spoke life into people, their dreams, their abilities, who they are as a person. And it's been beloved because it's like you really do leave feeling refreshed and encouraged. And then you meet different people. And the way that my affirmation workshops work, they're not all just jewelry related. We have affirmation journaling. I had the opportunity to teach one of Baltimore City schools. My affirmation design classes during the summertime. So we did journaling, we did bracelet design, we did a lot of different things. So it's to a lot of creative events just around uplifting, self-love, encouraging, embracing, and all those different types of things. But it's not just jewelry related. Because I actually wanted to start creating it to go beyond just the school system this summer. One of my goals is actually to present it as a alternate to be how behavioral health is handled in the school system, and as a morale building activity for organizations, because when people leave, they feel inspired. They made a new.
Man, had to have you come do an affirmation on Jage Connects on Facebook Live. You giving us a plug. But the team probably like, oh no, you gave her juice. Her juice is rolling. Yeah, no, gonna have to do that. Let me shift and answer one of the questions we received already in the chat. But how do you know where to find people to collaborate with effectively? We received that question in a number of different ways in the chat. And so, Namia, you talked about collaboration and not competition. So how do you find people to collaborate with?
You ask. You ask, and there's a way to ask with respect and boundaries, but you ask. I didn't get here by myself with the waist beads, right? So, you have to, for me as women, we have to look out for each other. So that's number one.
That's right.
I've been blessed to connect with women that have the same mindset. So when I started with the waist beads, I had some couple of beads, like maybe less than 20 pair of beads in the shop in Fed Hill. Monisha, she owns Pandora's Box. And I went and I shopped there, and I went to her one day. I was like, hey, can I put a couple of beads in the shop? And she's like, sure. And then from there, I started doing events. And then another entrepreneur here in the city, her name is Kim Duke. She has a hair salon and a vintage boutique on 25th and Charles. And again, new to Baltimore, just walk in the neighborhood. I lived in Charles Village, walk in the neighborhood. And I went in there to buy something one day, and then we just became friends. We started talking. I'm a vintage lover. I'm a lover of clothing and fashion and sequins, all things that bling, right? And we became friends, and I said, hey, can I put some beads in your shop? She was sure. So that's how it started for me, just by asking, and them being receptive. And they would have said no, I would have went on to the next one. But again, there's a way to get a collaboration, especially if you're doing the same kind of work as someone else. So Ashley, she has beautiful jewelry on, and I've seen her work. I don't know if I can do that. But if I wanted to, there's a way that I would ask her in a respectful way where it's not seen as competition. Or I'm not trying to steal her ideas. I mean, like, as a mentor or something like that. That's how, for me, I would suggest anyone to approach. If you want to do waist beads, I don't have a problem with answering any questions. It's just the approach.
That's right. That's right. And you have not because you asked not. So many times people will collaborate if asked in the right way. How about you, Ashley? Did you want to get in on that question?
Yeah, I'll say humility. Humility was a big part for me. Being humble enough to just go to anybody, and Nima says, if the worst thing someone can tell you is no. One of the first things I did, I looked up a lot of boutiques that I felt like my pieces could work in. And I wrote up and drafted a formal letter of who I was, what I represented, and what my company represented. And I sent it out to some different places to see if they would be interested, or the buyer of the store would be interested in purchasing some of my items to be in the store. Like I said earlier, I believe that community is just as important as your business. So you have to have a community for your business to be successful, of people who are going to who understand you as an entrepreneur, who's going to push you. And sometimes that community, which I had to learn, does not entail everybody that's a jewelry maker or
Yeah.
someone in fashion. Your community could be someone in finance. Your community
Yep.
could be someone in a totally different business than you have, because it's an interchange of
Yeah.
encouragement, it's an interchange of information.
Mhm.
But I would say humility, being humble enough to say, you know what, this person is where I wish to be. So
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out to them to see if they will mentor me, to reach out
Mhm.
to them to see if they would assist me or just give me some pointers on how they develop their business structure and how they manage to move forward, and progressing as far as their business. And I'm still willing to do that. If
Yeah.
I see someone who's very hardworking and I see someone who has a lot of information, that I can learn from, I'm always willing to learn from different people, no matter what walk of life or what background you come from. And I would also say, yeah, that is very important. Finding your community and being open to the fact that everybody that may be a part of that community doesn't come from your background or your specialty.
That's right. That's right. Let's pick up the conversation where you just left it, which is, and a question's been put, we received a question in text, which is, what's been your experience with mentorship? Both of you talked about having individuals who are in the field mentor. I saw you, Mia, asking, hitting, getting the mentorship. I actually want to get mentored by both of you to make jewelry. So what has been your experience with mentorship? How have you cultivated mentors, received mentorship as business owners? Can you talk a little bit about that? Let's start with you, Mia.
Sure. For me, mentorship just means that someone is teaching you something, right? Or you're learning something that you may not be an expert at, or just learning something different, or learning something new, or trying to um, be an expert in the subject matter of whatever it is. So mentorship has always been a part of me and a part of the people that are surrounded by me, whether it's in my personal life, whether it's a friendship, whether it's business. But in that business mentorship, you can find people just by talking to them. I meet a lot of women, interacting with women out, and I meet a lot of women that make waist beads. So, and then and the conversation goes from there. I get a lot of hits on IG, also about, asking questions about, waist beads, where do I buy beads, where, all of those type of questions. And I share that again, is sharing information. But as far as mentorship, I mean, mentorship goes back to what Ashley was saying about community, right? Because you see people in your community that are, either doing well or that are aspiring to do something, and just connecting with those people.
Absolutely, absolutely. How about you, Ashley? How's your journey of mentorship
One
been?
of the forms of, I would say, the form of mentorship would be moms as entrepreneurs, close friends, who also were business owners before I became a business owner. One of my friends, Dawn Kennedy of Compassionately Creative, she has been a great motivation to me as a mentor. A lot of different people. I would say by doing different events, local events, you come in contact with so many different people. A lot of times people are like, how did you get this opportunity? How did you even come across this? And I'll always tell people, by literally just being me. As you can tell,
Yes, right?
I'm
Yep.
colorful and bright, and people can see how passionate I am about my business. And people are interested in finding more about you when they see that passion and they see how hard you work. And people actually have just offered mentorship as I've grown by just meeting me and talking to me. I've met
Yeah.
many total strangers having no idea their background, where they came from, anything about them. And after just talking to them like a regular conversation,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, by the way, I'm so and so, and I do this and I do that. And I'm like, oh, really? Like, wow. So I would say a lot of my mentors or people I look up to, as far as a business aspect, or even just the human aspect, that's been a total encouragement for me, has been people I've just total strangers, and that
Mhm.
they could just see that I'm really passionate about what I do, and about the goals I've had for my business, and they wanted to pour into me. They
Mm.
Yeah.
genuinely just want to pour into me.
Yeah, no, I mean, both of you don't know how you got on this show, do you? You have no idea. It was just by what Ashley said, which is being you. We actually search out, people recommend, they lift up people. You'd be surprised how, I mean, I'm not surprised, but how beautiful our community is, because someone that bought something from you years ago will lift up your name
Mhm.
to our consciousness. And they were like, oh yeah, definitely. We had to feature them. And they're like so amazing, so wonderful. And both of you are like that. And so, like you said, by just being who you are,
Mhm.
right? People recognize that and want to mentor. I think great nugget for folks. Let me get this question in, which folks have asked a number of different ways. Have you been able to think about marketing for your business? So both of you are in a business where you need customers, right? All of us are. So how do you market? How do you build your customer base? Is there any strategy that you employ as an entrepreneur? And just think about, there's someone out there that's thinking about, how am I going to be like Namia? How am I going to build my business like Ashley? So can you give any nuggets for us, Namia? Start with you.
Like Ashley said, being yourself. I think that people, if they like you and they see that you're real, right? You're not, it's not a facade. This
That's
is
right.
who you are. They will support you, whether it's buying your business, buying your waist beads, buying your jewelry, whatever you're selling. That beyond that, they're going to support you. The monetary support is great, but the long-term support is even better for me. So, marketing, I'm a one-man show. I do everything. If you see me post, if you see me do a flyer, anything you see that involved with Waist Beats by Rain, I do it. The website, I did everything myself.
I was like 50 people behind you.
I wish. That's a whole nother story. Hard to find good help. But it's time consuming, but it's necessary to keep the business going. And again, like Ashley was saying, a lot of my business comes from complete strangers that maybe had an interaction with me one time. My best clients are strangers, and I would encourage entrepreneurs that are listening, don't get into the mindset that, oh, I'm going to start this great business. It's going to be, I have a million friends. They're all going to support me. Get that out your head because your disappointment will you'll be disappointed in the long run. And I appreciate my friends and family that do support me, but most of my support has come from complete strangers and just customer service, right? So we all know how we want to be treated. We know how we want to be spoken to. We know how we know how when we go into a store, what feels right when you're interacting with the with a retailer or a person that's trying to sell you something. So we know what that feels like if it's off. So my big thing is customer service. You treat people the way you would want to be treated. And it sounds cliche, but it's true. I'm big on customer service. Like that's 99.9% of your business. And your attitude. If you're not pleasant, people don't want to interact with you. And I'm just kind and pleasant by nature, but you have, and you get overwhelmed. I'm not, I get overwhelmed, I get frustrated, but you also have to be mindful that, you're in a business where you're interacting with people, and energy is transferable. So people can feel that when you're negative. So, and they will walk right away from your table, your kiosk, whatever, however you're set up, and go buy something from the next person. So customer service is huge.
No, that's right. The best customer is your current customer, right? That's the next customer is based on your current customer. If you can, you're so right. Ashley, how about you? What are you doing? How do you think about marketing?
As far as marketing, it's something I'll probably will always do. I don't know where my business will take me, but no matter where it takes me, I'm gonna always want to be around people and my actual customers. So I do a lot of different events because I want to be around the people that I'm servicing. I want to meet them. I want to be able to tell them why I create. So one of my marketing strategies, I always tell people who I am and where I started and my goals for my business and things of that sort, so people can identify with me as a person. Because a lot of love goes into the things I create. I create everything to be one of a kind. So to constantly create a
Yeah.
lot of different things and each one to be one of a kind, a lot of love, a lot of creativity, a lot of myself goes into that. So I make sure to tell people when I meet them at these different events my history, my story as a person, and how I started. Another tool, this is the era of social media. So being consistent on social media, that's one of the things I had to improve as an entrepreneur, making sure that you post daily, posting different times during the day, because sometimes people are at work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Posting ironically after midnight multiple times, because
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of times when people go to social media, they'll look at different pictures and they'll keep going, going, going. But most people on their phone past midnight, they're looking to find something interesting to look at.
That's
And
true.
you never know. Those type of people will look at your stuff and like, oh, let me check out this page. This is really nice. And they'll actually look into your business and not just scroll past it among many different pictures. So those are some of my strategies, and also, like I said, I'm invested not in just having a customer or a client. A lot of people who support my business have become like my big sisters and my friends,
Mm-hmm.
and they literally at this two main events that I do, they bring people every single week, and they're like, "You got to meet her." So by letting people connect to me as a person, not just a business, it makes people want to share me with other people.
That's
And that's how I've been able to consistently have customers and my business to grow, because people don't see me as a product. They see Ashley when they're
That's right.
purchasing.
mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah, no, we and part of the reason why we love doing this is because it gets you out behind the product. And when you know the person behind the products that you are buying, I don't know, I just feel more joy in my purchases. And you're right, getting to know who you are is a huge, and I'm telling you, your tip around like posting after midnight, because there's so
That's
many
good.
people, us night owls, I'm a night owl. Us night owls are still up, and we are still, that's when we get, that's our downtime. So that's when we're like scrolling and watching. So you're absolutely right on that. Let me get to this question, because what we know is that both of you are successful, right? Successful, great relationships, but not without challenges. So what keeps you going despite the challenges? How do you, what is your, like, you're drawing from strength to keep going? I mean, what do you call on, or how do you keep going despite those challenges?
I pray. I have a spiritual life. I pray. I walk around Lake Montebello for my peace of mind.
Yeah.
At least I try to get it in at least 3 times a week. I'm back at work full time during the week, so it's kind of hard for me to manage that before I was more available. But for me, it's prayer, and it's also surrounding yourself with like-minded people, positive people, people that are encouraging, people
Yeah.
that are, your cheerleaders, your personal cheerleaders. For me, it's my best friend. She's probably somewhere in the chat.
Oh,
Um,
she's been all over this chat.
sure.
Best friend been all over this chat.
Um,
She's helping you.
in my my spiritual mother, so just in my family and my friends, they're very encouraging and they keep me going. And my children, the waist feeds by Rain is my granddaughter. She's 2 years old, so that's that's encouraging by itself. So I look forward to showing her one day how to bead jewelry, and giving her lessons on entrepreneurship, as she grows as she grows up. And also my grandson, just letting them know that you can create your own lane and you can become an entrepreneur. Um, so those are some of the things, but I would also say that, you know, being consistent, like Ashley said, being consistent in what you're doing, because you don't want to get into a place where you get lax, and you kind of like, you wander and say, oh, well, I don't want to do this anymore because you haven't done it in 2 weeks. So I'm always creating, I'm always making beads when I'm not doing 10 other things. I always have time to keep creating and working on my business. And, you know, I get weary because it's only me. I don't know if Ashley has a team. It's only me.
Ashley got little team members. I think it might be all they. I think it might be Ashley.
This weekend I'm at Towson Town Center on Saturday. And
don't worry, we're gonna get you to get that shout out so everybody knows how to come by and see you.
But when I do that, I have to create so many pair of beads. So when I start off with like maybe 400 or 500 beads. So what am I doing? I am creating from the time of my last event all the way up until tomorrow, Friday, so I can be prepared. And then when that's done, I have to just start creating again because it's only me for my next event. So, it's just being really consistent and, not to get weary.
No, absolutely. Ashley, what about you? Despite the challenges, what keeps you going?
What keeps me going, I would say, is just the people who are rooting for me. Like knowing how much people are really rooting for me to be successful, in what I'm doing and believe in me. It keeps me going. And of course, prayer, like you said, Mia, of course, prayer. But a lot of my family, my friends, they really believe in me. And like you said, I create, everything is one of a kind. So everything is coming from my heart and my own mind and my own creative thought. So I can't train someone to create what's only inside me. So that's one of the challenges. But I would say, that family support. My sister, she started helping me with events once a month. My husband, my best friend, if I forget something, she driving all over the place trying to find the materials, the bags, stuff that I left. Just having a group of people who are rooting for me and that will step in when I absolutely need them to support me. That's been, and prayer, of course, has been a help. And just setting a good example for my children. I come from an era where education is everything. And I have a degree. But I want to teach my kids also, other than just going the education route, you can be an entrepreneur. You can do so many other different things. There is no specific way to be successful. You can be successful by following your passions and working really, really hard. I think if nothing else, COVID has taught us is that we all have a role to play, and that no matter what we do, from the doctors to the janitor, that we all play a role in making something function smoothly. So you could be anything that you want to be. So just be an example for my kids that hard work does pay off, and that they can see my growth. I'm happy and excited to see that they're going to be able to grow with me through my business, and they can see. And when my husband bring them down to the events, the Baltimore Farmers Market and Bazaar, they pop up and they be telling customers, support my mommy and all that.
They're the best salespeople.
And they really do motivate me. They gas me up.
That's awesome. So first, both of you, we couldn't resist. We've already, everyone, if you want to go on the website now, start buying while we're on the show, go do it right now. It's in the chat, also on Facebook. So we're pumping y'all up so people know how to get in contact with you already. Let me ask this question that really gets to a question that's come a number of times in the chat. But what is your greatest accomplishment yet thus far? What is the thing that you say, this is all worth it? This is the reason why I'm doing this. Namia, what have you had that aha moment? What's your greatest? And let me say this: your best days are ahead of you. So we're going to claim that this is the greatest accomplishment thus far, but not the greatest accomplishment of the whole story. So tell us about, Namia, what's one of your greatest accomplishments?
Well, thank you, Alicia. I think the encouragement from other women, I get so many texts and messages saying that, you're such an inspiration. You inspire me to do this. You inspire me to do that outside of Waist Beads by Marine, right? So those kind of messages, women checking in just to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. I love you, friends, you know what I mean? So those are the things that inspire me. Other women inspire me. I'm a lover of other women. I don't believe the myth that women cannot be friends. I don't believe the myth that we can't, collaborate. I don't believe those kind of myths about women. So I connect and surround myself with women that are encouraging, that are supportive, and we need each other. We need each other to grow. We need each other to thrive. So I encourage other women to do the same. Get out of that mindset that we can't be friends.
That's right. That's so true. So true. Ashley, how about you?
I would say the becoming of me as a woman, the becoming of me as a person. I would say that's my greatest accomplishment. I would say I come from really humble beginnings,
Mhm.
and I would say looking back, a lot of people would not have seen the me in my youth, who I am today. A lot of the obstacles that I faced growing up. So just to see, be a testament of, yeah, you can start out here. Where you start is not where you finish.
That's right.
And just being able to see
That's a
that.
bit, that's Namia's favorite quote.
That's it.
Seriously,
It's
and
true.
to
It
be
is true.
example for other people. Like I said, I work in a human service field, and I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people who were going through different trials and tribulations, total strangers, and I've told them my story, and they look at me like shocked, and I'm like, yeah, you're gonna get through this, and you're gonna
Mhm.
be great, and you're gonna be amazing. The things that you face in life are just trials and roadblocks that you're going to find a route around, and one day you're going to be at that finish line. So that's my greatest inspiration, being able to be an inspiration to other people,
Mhm.
and being able to share my own personal story and testimony with other people so that they can see, because seeing really is believing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, especially like you said, you have a nonprofit, Mia. I'm sure you've come in contact with so many different people of different walks of life, such as I. And
Mhm.
one thing that remains true is that, people connect to people who are a real life testimony
Right.
of
Yeah.
what they've been doing, what they're going through, whether it's like you said, that self love, women getting to a point where they appreciate their bodies,
Mhm.
or people who dealt with different things in their family life or financially, different things. But for people to see, like, wow, this person started here and they finished here. So
Mhm.
that's my biggest inspiration, just being able to look back and see how hard work really does pay off.
It does.
Not just the business aspect, but just being having a sense of focus in life and knowing where you want to be and
Yeah.
working relentlessly to it. My
Mhm.
favorite word is pertinacious. It's like a relentlessness to accomplish your goal.
Say
Yeah.
that word again. Say it again. Somebody,
My favorite word is pertinacious. I call myself Miss Pertinacious.
pertinacious.
When I'm
Wow.
focused, my sisters and my brother can attest to this. If I want something, I'm willing to work hard for it. It's almost like, yeah, I'm gonna work hard for it. Hard to get there wherever I need to be, and I'm willing to work, just do whatever I need to do to accomplish my goals. And I say that that's something that has helped me
Yeah.
as I've overcame a lot of different obstacles. Just that focus and that believing in myself.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, I mean, both of you. So, I think you put it so beautifully. And I think it shows like your spirits, because your accomplishment, y'all talked about things that are like real,
Mhm.
not things that you lose, right? You don't lose like the affirmation of women and the love of women. You don't lose knowing that, you started as a seed and you may be a tree now, but the journey between the two demonstrates the strength of who you are,
Yes.
and tells the testimony. Beautifully done. I was checking because I had to make sure Oprah is on. We have a number of other investors on, and I'm being serious. Last week, sometimes I used to joke that we have investors on. We really do have investors watching. Last week, one of the entrepreneurs said that an investor called them after the show. So I want to give you all the opportunity. Ashley, I know that Wi-Fi probably just gave out, but she's coming back. Don't worry, she's gonna come back. Namia, tell us, talking to Oprah, a number of investors, how can they support businesses like yours and support you to continue to grow and thrive as a vital part of our community? So what, I mean, this is a rare opportunity to get to talk to Oprah, talk to investors, but
Hey,
tell-
girl.
it's right, it's right.
Go to suitableattire.org. Donate. No, but seriously, to support Waist Beads by Rain is just that support. Go to the website, buy some beads for your fellas, for your wives, your girlfriends, ladies. Buy some beads. If you don't wear beads, give me a call and I'll convince you to get some. But, just following me and following my story and my journey. Like I said, the Waste Beads is going to shift into the nonprofit, and I'm looking to really do some really good work here in Baltimore. I've been doing my research again in the city, and the best location to service youth in storefronts and locations where I can have a retail space where they can come and get clothes free of charge for, a suit like you mentioned earlier, that you were given 2 business suits for your first job. So professional attire. I'm looking forward to, again, as I say, every time I say I'm going to fall back from the Waste Beads to focus on the nonprofit, then I get a rush of orders for Waste Beads, which I'm grateful for. So, I'm going to just finding that balance to do
Sure.
both at the same time. But go to the website, check me out, wastebeadsbyrain.com. Go
And
to
I hope someone's watching this that has a storefront thinking about you. Storefronts, people.
Yeah.
You have in the chat the ways to support both of these amazing businesses. I think that's beautiful what you just said. Let me ask this question before Ashley comes back. Oh, Ashley, no, she'll back. Ashley will be back. Don't worry. What are some tips that you have on how you balance work, personal life, and building your business? Any tips for entrepreneurs out there? How do you balance it all?
For me, everything for me is mental. So I have to get in a mental space. Like even to make beads, I have to get in a mental space to do that. I have a full-time job. I work for DC government. So I commute from Baltimore into the city three days a week. Right. So for me, it's all about you need to get your rest and prioritize. I'm very organized, and I just prioritize my responsibilities and I execute. And rest. I mean, I listen to my body when it says to sit down. Because without me, then there's no Waste Beads, there's no suitable attire, there's no anything. So if I'm not well, if I'm not functioning at 100%, then I can't do anything. So self-care is really important. Taking care of yourself, listening to your body if you're trying to juggle things, and write things down. If you have a calendar on your notes in your cell phone, jot things down, use your calendar, and use your alerts. If you have 10 things going on, just use your reminders that'll keep you organized. But for me, it's organization.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let me make sure that everyone knows how we get in contact with you. So Namia, how do we get in contact with you to support you? And if Ashley doesn't rejoin us, don't worry, I'm going to make sure she gets her shout out. Tell us how we can follow you, support you, purchase from you.
You can visit the website, wastebeadsbyrain.com. On IG, it's my name, Namia_G_Vance. And it's on Facebook, it's Waste Beads by Rain. Suitable attire, same thing, suitableattire.org. Suitable attire on Instagram, and suitable attire on Facebook as well.
Excellent. And Ashley Mobley is AshMo, so ASHMO Jewelry and Accessory. Her website is AshMo Jewelry and Accessories.square.site. Her Facebook, you can find her AshMo Jewelry and Accessories. On Instagram, you can also find her at AshMo Jewelry and Accessories. Let me say this, it has been an extreme pleasure. Let me give all of your shout outs because y'all have received so many throughout the show. Folks talking about impressive women. I'm wearing my waist beads, empowered, sexy, and alive. It's excellent. Folks talking about how you inspired them by talking about strength in numbers and building a community, how empowering others add value to not only yourself, but values to others. And just a lot of shout outs to saying how much of an inspiration you, Mia, and Ashley are to folks out there. So if you didn't know it, you talked about your greatest accomplishment. Certainly, we have Ashley back. Let me give her a chance to give her, see. Ashley, you're back with us.
Yes, I'm back.
All right, good. I gave all your .coms and your social. Let me give you both. give us one word, give us one tip, one last word, inspirational word as we close out today. Ashley?
I would say my favorite word, which is, well, I don't want to give, well, you know what, gestalt. My other favorite, I have two, pertinacious and gestalt, but if I had to choose, I'll say gestalt. And gestalt means the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
A beautiful, beautiful. Namia, what's a good word that you want to leave us on?
Determination. Determination.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So many people just saying, thank you. Both of you are so beautiful and such an inspiration. I'm so grateful and honored to be able to interview you today. Let me close this out. Let me wrap us up, give a couple of announcements, and then we're going to stop the stream. Next week, we have a very special episode. Everybody said, this set me up. We have two youth entrepreneurs, these little kids who have amazing businesses. One, Cameron of C&D Beading Company Boutique, and Julian of Step Stool Chef. He is a chef. These are amazing kids. And I'm so excited to interview them next week. Follow us on JH Connects on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Email us feedback, jhconnects@jhu.edu. Thank you to our community partners, Johns Hopkins University, Johns Hopkins Health System, Hopkins Local, the Mayor's Office of Small Minority Women-Owned Business, the Warnock Foundation, Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business, and Bloomberg Philanthropy. Thank you, Namia. Thank you, Ashley.
You.
It's been an
Thank
honor.
You so much.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone be safe.
Thank you. It's nice speaking with you all.